first of all, how this leads to a better corporate practice. Notice that in the previous speaker's speech, they haven't really explained any mechanism of how the status quo can adequately prevent like many unemployed people of becoming homeless, of these local government falling into deficit and being unable to pay any welfare or sustainable social services to these people. So even if we accept that government bears, or that local government bears certain responsibilities, they have to explain how that local government, without any revenue for corporate income tax, has the capability to prevent these kind of harm of homelessness, to prevent these kind of harm of people being unable to get any medical care because they can't receive welfare. But moreover, ladies and gentlemen, we have explained to you extensive reason why this policy will lead to a better corporate practice. First of all, we think that as a consequence of this policy, large corporations would plan long-term sustainable sustainability when entering into a certain market, and won't just jump in easily into a particular local economy or particular local market. They will do extensive market research. They will develop sustainable negotiation and a sustainable relationship with that local government, so that they know that they can enter into that market and remain in that market for as long as possible. But second of all, when these corporations lose productivity or lose efficiency, and as a consequence they are considering of exiting out of that particular market, they won't just easily exit from that market and prioritize the short-term benefit of their executive bonuses or prioritize the impact of stock price. They will spend more time and effort trying to improve the productivity of that, for example, an old factory, for example, investing in IoT tech so that they can improve the productivity of that particular factory as much as possible. But thirdly and finally, this is very important, if that company, because under our policy, these companies can still make the decision to exit out from that particular economy. But the big difference is that when they decide to exit, they will do so gradually. So the reason why, oftentimes when a large corporation exits out from a particular region, that creates structural unemployment, is because that change is so dramatic, it is done in a very short period of time. So they don't just gradually reduce production or gradually reduce the number of employment, they do it suddenly. So you suddenly create an unemployment situation of tens of thousands of individuals. Under our policy, as a consequence of companies not wanting to pay this extra cost and not wanting to create a structural unemployment, as a consequence of it, these companies would exit, but would do so gradually, so that the gradual exit won't create a structural unemployment in that local region. So we think that as a consequence of that, yes, the exit would take more longer time, and it might cost more than the status quo. But we believe that cost is a cost that these companies must pay. Which moves to my second issue, which is the corporate social responsibility and why companies bear the responsibility for this cost. Yes.
Do you think for the company to exist from an area is okay?
I'm sorry?
So do you think it's okay for a company to leave for area gradually?
Yes, if that exit does not create a structural unemployment. Yes. So let's move on to my second issue, which is about corporate social responsibility. And what we heard from the previous speaker was companies don't necessarily have a responsibility to pay the cost of structural unemployment. First of all, because they pay corporate tax, but third of all, first of all, they pay corporate tax, but second of all, they oftentimes withdraw because of rational financial decisions. Now, in terms of rational financial decisions, there's two responses. Now, number one, it's not just financial decisions. There are many reasons why a company might exit out from a certain region. For example, they want to change their supply chain and to move out to a foreign market. They believe that that factory has low productivity and efficiency, or they want to cater to their stockholders and they want to increase the stock price so the executive can receive hefty bonuses. So when you make a comparison between the interests of CEOs or executives or a large corporation who can earn large bonuses and buy expensive yacht or luxurious condos, and the interests of tens of thousands of unemployed people and their family, and some of them become homeless, we think that the latter should be the priority of the state, because there's a huge power imbalance between multinational corporation and local people and local government. But the second reason why we think that lack of the corporate decision is not a reason enough to negate their responsibility is because even if a company sometimes withdraw from this particular region of danger, for example, being bankrupt or have a huge financial cost, we still think that that company should take care of this particular cost, because the difference is foreseeability. the lack of productivity or the lack of efficiency does not just happen overnight, right? It happens over a long period of time. So these corporate executives or these companies can predict and foresee a particular factory is losing productivity and might have a very dangerous level of productivity maybe 5 years, 10 years in the future. So therefore, if the company have relative ability to foresee the consequence of that factory becoming very, very unproductive, then it is the responsibility for that company to gradually decrease the scale of operation, to gradually decrease the number of employment, so that their exit plan does not create a shock to that particular region, which creates a structural imbalance. So as a consequence of this policy, we think that corporations would make that long-term decision and gradually decrease their scale if they really have to. Moreover, let's take the point about corporate tax. We accept that these companies pay corporate tax, but we don't think that's enough reason why we negate and reject this responsibility for 3 reasons. The first reason is corporate tax is oftentimes not enough because it doesn't take into consideration the cost of external harms such as the welfare cost of unemployment, the cost of public safety and policing. But second of all, oftentimes corporations pressure these local governments to give them tax privileges. They oftentimes go into these local regions promising that we will provide long-term employment, and then 10 years in the future, they suddenly leave out. We don't think that that's enough responsibility. But third of all, oftentimes, corporate tax is not a guaranteed revenue or a benefit for these local government. Because if a company is in a deficit, they don't have to pay corporate tax because if a company is a benefit, it's not legally required for them to do so. So they would use many loopholes in the corporate law and the taxation law to pay as less corporate tax as possible. So their assertion of saying that these companies pay tax and that's enough, obviously it's not enough because it doesn't take into consideration the massive harm done by these corporations, and that is why this important motion must stand.